It's time to go over all of your Tesla stock breaking news today. I will also share with you the major events that we have for markets this week, including the non-farm payrolls report, ISM services data, and some more earnings. Towards the end of this video, we will also discuss my expectations for Tesla stock this week. First and foremost, let's start with your Tesla stock breaking news today. According to the Wall Street Journal, Elon Musk and JP Morgan's Chase CEO Jamie Dimon have reportedly started to make peace. Elon and Dimon reportedly talked for more than an hour a few months ago. Dimon has decided the bank could try to resume doing business with Elon. Animosity between the two became public in late 2021 when JP Morgan took the unusual step of suing Tesla and Musk over $162 million. The bank said Tesla owed the money for a trade JP Morgan helped arrange in 2014. Tesla countersued, saying JP Morgan was mad in part because it didn't get any of Musk's business. Elon told the Wall Street Journal at the time, "If JP Morgan doesn't withdraw their lawsuit, I will give them a 1-star review on Yelp." Basically making fun of the whole situation. Now, JP Morgan, the world's largest non-centralized bank, well, being cool with them is probably a good thing. Just to kind of put it simply, Tesla ranks highest overall and highest in the premium brand segment of EV mobile apps consumer satisfaction, with a score of 847 on a 1,000 point scale according to JD Power. Next up would be Mercedes Me Connect and my BMW, coming in a few points lower than Tesla. Tesla has officially opened its first store and showroom in Qatar after the automaker initially launched sales in the country late last year. Tesla China has won a lawsuit against a Model 3 brake failure protester. Ms. Zhang, the Model 3 owner in question, was ordered by the court to apologize to Tesla and pay about $23,000 US in damages. Ms. Zhang's father was involved in a collision while driving a Model 3 in April of 2021. She claimed that issues with the Model 3's brakes caused the accident. However, a police investigation concluded that the driver was responsible for the incident since he failed to maintain a safe distance. And this was her standing on top of a Tesla at a showroom, auto show in Shanghai back in 2021. Basically made a fool of herself and lost $23,000. The Model Y long range's EPA range has been slightly adjusted in the US down to 308 miles from 310 miles previously. Tesla China's Model 3 performance delivery expected period has changed. Previously, it was Q3 delivery, but now it's marked 3 to 6 weeks. This indicates they will start to be delivered to customers starting in Q2. And Tesla China just officially announced that Model 3 Performance will officially start deliveries in China in mid-June. And Tesla Korea will start to deliver the Model Y starting tomorrow. This will be the first delivery to customers in the second quarter. Xiaomi, this is really a tech company that has now started to get into cars that started to offer something that's even cheaper than the Model 3 with similar specs. They announced they delivered 8,630 vehicles to customers in May and will deliver more than 10,000 in June. They will also start producing 2 shifts at their factories starting in June. In the first quarter of 2024 in China, the Tesla Model 3's complaint rate was reported to be 5.3%, the lowest in the industry. Tesla's vice president over in China, Teo Lin, also quoted it directly on Weibo. Tesla makes cars that customers love and it makes them feel satisfied. Porsche only sold 13,300 vehicles to China in the first quarter, its lowest for 17 quarters since 2020. Tesla's Model Y has topped the list of cumulative NEV sales over the past 4 weeks in China. Another indication that Q2 is probably going to be a pretty strong quarter overall. Kicking off your big events this week will be earnings in part. You have GitLab in After Hours Monday. You have Tuesday pre-market Ferguson, Bath and Body Works, as well as others. Tuesday after hours CrowdStrike, Hewlett Packard, Stitch Fix, Sportsman Warehouse, and Lakeland Industries. Wednesday pre-market Dollar Tree, Ollie's, Campbell's, and others. Wednesday and after hours Lululemon, ChargePoint, Victoria's Secret, Five Below, Grief, Couchbase, Smartsheet, and Renew Power. Thursday pre-market, you have Neo, Cena, Big Lots, Toro, the JM Smucker Company, ABM, and a couple others there as well. Thursday after hours, you have DocuSign, Rent the Runway, Samsara, Braze, Vail Resorts, and it looks like Planet. And then Friday, you have a couple random names, and these are not all the stocks that report earnings. These are the ones with the most analysts that cover them. Overall, it's not going to be that big of a week for earnings season, but Dollar Tree, Ollie's, CrowdStrike, Lululemon, GitLab, Neo, DocuSign, Big Lots, these could be kind of important companies to pay attention to, especially in regards to the consumer. You also have enterprise software with GitLab, and that could be a pretty important one for that sector of our markets. Now, the big story this week will be economic data. Starting off on Monday, you don't have to wait too long. At 10 o'clock in the morning, you will get ISM manufacturing PMIs. You're expecting a number of 50. Last month, you were at 49.2. The way Wall Street operates these days is lower economic activity, worse economic activity, if you will, is seen as good news for markets. I don't necessarily think that's good news. You want to see the economy strong. You just want to see inflation coming down. The markets think the economy has to get worse for inflation to come down, and that's not necessarily true. But if we come in with a weaker number here for ISM manufacturing PMIs, Monday could continue to be a strong day, like we seen that end of the day rally on Friday. And I do think a lot of that sell-off that we seen on Friday was due to Dell earnings, and then the markets kind of, shrugged it off towards the end of the day, and we rallied because of PCE. I do think there's a strong likelihood that we continue to rally into the early part of at least next week because of that PCE report we had on Friday. Even in after hours on Friday, small caps went up almost another 0.5%. It started to look pretty squeezy towards the end of the day on Friday. So I do think that does continue. Now, Tuesday, you will get JOLTS job openings coming out at 10 o'clock in the morning, expecting a number of about 8.4 million. Really not much of a change from last month. Keep in mind, if job openings go down, that means that Dollar General, if it was looking to hire 5 employees, maybe it's only looking to hire 4 or 3 now, or that local restaurant was looking to hire 10 employees and now they're looking to hire 2, right? That's where you get job openings coming down. Job openings coming down can be a sign the economy is not as strong as we thought. So a number coming in lower there, markets would probably like that. Now, you will get ADP employment change coming out at 8:15 in the morning on Wednesday. You're expecting 170,000 job ads. This is the private, the not government jobs report. It's not that important, but it can give you some insight to what to expect from the government jobs report. Now, on Wednesday, your biggest set of data will by far be ISM services PMI. We're expecting a number of about 51. Last month, you were 49.4. So if you come in lower than 51 there, markets are going to like that. You get ISM services new orders, ISM services employment, ISM services business activity, but most importantly, it will be ISM services prices. You're actually expecting that will rise from 59.2 last month to 60. Any number that is lower than 60 is going to be seen as great news. And that's probably going to be the biggest driver of what stocks do Wednesday, is that services prices paid number. So you definitely want to be watching that one. Direct link to inflation there. Now, on Thursday, you're going to get initial jobless claims, expecting about 215,000. That would be slightly down from last week. And again, the worse off claims are, the worse off the economy is, the better off the markets tend to take that. You will get exports and imports. That can be important for your GDP estimates, in which the Atlanta Fed GDP Now tracker is still estimating some very strong GDP numbers for the current quarter that we are in, expecting still about 2.8% GDP. That export-import number coming out Thursday at about 8:30 in the morning will move the expectations there. Now, that's going to be it. Thursday could actually be one of your slower days for economic activity and for the markets. Friday, Yeah, it's not going to be a slow day at all. You have non-farm payrolls expecting 151,000. It says forecast 151,000. It says consensus 180,000. I think the forecast here is trading economics forecast, and I think you could come in around that number, around 150,000 or so. So I think the jobs report's probably going to come in a little bit weaker than 180, and Friday could end up being a very strong day for markets. Unemployment rate is expected to come in at about 3.9%. If that does tick up a little bit, that's great. If it ticks up too much, then Wall Street's going to start having fears about a recession, and yeah, that's where things can go bad quickly. Markets are obviously going to dissect what is within the jobs reports. Lately, it's been government or healthcare that has had a majority of the monthly gains here for your non-farm payrolls, and other sectors are actually losing jobs. So Wall Street will kind of dissect that to see how strong it is or how weak it is. And again, the weaker, probably the better for markets. Not a lot of Fed speakers this week. You do have Fed Cook at about noon, but that is pretty much it. And that's noon on Friday. And if we take a look at the option activity for Tesla stock, drop my phone. Hopefully that's okay. For this Friday's expiration of June 7th, you can see the strike with the most amount of option activity is the 195 call. You have about 8,500 of those contracts that are currently held in people's brokerage accounts. Second up is the 160 put with about 6,600 contracts that are currently held in brokerage accounts. If you take a look at the open interest, almost 65% of all open interest for this Friday are calls, and about 35.5% are puts. So there is almost a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 times as many calls compared to puts for this week. That could be a sign of a strong week to come. Now, unfortunately, we have our shareholder meeting on June 13th. Yes, I will be making a special video of my expectations around that event coming out later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And whether you own Tesla, whether you're short Tesla, whether you're super long Tesla, it doesn't matter. You want to watch that video. I will go over my exact expectations, what I think is going to happen, what if the worst case scenario happens, where could Tesla stock go in a good and bad scenario. All of that we'll talk about at 8 p.m. tonight. But long story short, if you have not heard already, I'm not expecting much of a rally or a crash heading into June 13th. The reason for that is if you're going to sell Tesla stock with, really retail investors dominating the outcome of the shareholder meeting, I don't think that's a good likelihood, right? I think the likelihood of approval for Elon's comp package is 75-80% likely it will get approved, and it will be a huge positive for Tesla, and maybe a 20-25% chance it does not get approved, and it's a big negative for Tesla. With that said, you're already seeing a lot of big money going out and they're buying hedges on their long positions, which makes the most sense. Now, buying hedges on your long position is not selling stock, right? They're not selling their stock. They're using options. They're protecting their portfolio. Probably not a terrible idea if there's a chance that the stock could fall big based on a certain catalyst. Now, you're seeing more hedging for this event than you see for Tesla earnings, any Tesla events, CPI, anything, right? This is the most hedging you've seen in years for Tesla, and that's just how important June 13th ultimately is. Now, point is, you're not getting selling pressure from that hedging necessarily, because hedge funds and institutions are not dumping out of Tesla stock, and that's why Tesla's really not doing much of anything. But you are seeing market makers that have to go out and short stock for all of these hedges that do go onto the stock. And I think that's why there's going to be a lot of volatility around June 13th. And that's why I think you could see maybe a 20% move following June 13th, the June 13th shareholder vote, for better or for worse. A lot of that comes down to the hedging. There's millions of shares that are currently sold short on a very short-term basis around that June 21st expiration after the June 13th shareholder meeting. And, that's going to be millions of shares that need to be bought by market makers if the vote does go through, or maybe millions of shares that need to be shorted by market makers if the vote does not go through. I did make a poll here on YouTube. Go ahead and vote on it if you would like. It doesn't really change the outcome of the percentages. seems like the first couple of hours you get a pretty good feel of how people are feeling. But the post reads, if Elon Musk's comp package, or is Elon Musk's comp package going to pass? 47% of you guys said yes. 35% of you guys said yes, stock up big in June and July. So just putting, numbers to paper here, right? You're at about 82% of you guys that think the comp package is going to pass. Now, 8% of you guys say no, and 10% of you guys say no, stock sells off 10 to 30%. But we'll talk about that more in the next video. The point is, until we get to that shareholder meeting on June 13th, I am not expecting much of anything. $10 up or down from here would make sense. Now, I think there's an upward bias based on what we've seen on Friday with the PCE coming in better than expected. I have high, hopes that the ISM services data comes in good this week. I have a pretty strong confidence the jobs report's not going to be a blowout to the upside, right? That we're not going to have a super good jobs report. So I think the tailwinds are to the positive here. So it wouldn't surprise me if Tesla's in the, mid 180s by the end of this week. But I ultimately think right before June 13th, you might just sell it all off and be right back to where we are now. So I think whether you're long or short, you're not going to miss out on much. And maybe even right now could be a good time to sell some premium if you wanted to. Premiums are elevated on Tesla. And well, I do plan to have some options trades heading into June 13th itself. If you guys want to stay involved with all of the moves that I am making, check out that link down below in the description of this video. Any trades that I put on Tesla or any other stocks, options, crypto, all of that, I send out my alerts in real time. Link down below in the trading community. That's going to go ahead and do it for this video. That's all of your major market moving catalyst for this week, as well as all of your Tesla stock news today. Let me know your expectations for this week down below in the comment section. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. You guessed it. I will see you in the next one.